All right. Hello, everyone, from wherever you're joining us. If you're in the chat on Facebook or Travel Massive, let us know where you're joining us from. Love to see where everyone is. All right. I'm going to give maybe a minute or two for everyone to join in and get the streaming live. I'm here with Alexandra Talty, and I'm going to kick off just quickly to give some context of Travel Massive, and we're going to go from there. Just 1 minute. All right, so I think we've got people on a couple different platforms, so we're going to kick it off, and I'm going to start. I'm Jessica Parker, and I've split my time between Lebanon and the United States for the last couple of years now. And Travel Massive is a global platform that's been connecting people globally and fostering positive impacts in the travel industry. And the platform is now 142 chapters and over 140,000 members globally, and now including Beirut. And I had started and connected with a platform back in New York City and had been a chapter leader there for about 5 years, made some wonderful connections. And then when I started to live in Lebanon, I wanted to connect with people and locals in the tourism industry as well. So, and right as I went there, I met Alexandra Talty, who's lived there for about 7 years. And we immediately hit it off. And we also wanted to connect with more people around Lebanon in the hospitality industry and connect the dots between everyone. And actually, we had a Travel Massive at one of our speakers' venues, Colonel Brewery, just last year before the revolution happened, which I'm sure people will touch on in this talk today, and kind of give you some backstory, because obviously a lot has happened in the last few years, and most recently, and why we've come together really to start raising some funds for Lebanon itself, because it's a country that's not really established with a FEMA, or insurances aren't really offering out their payouts for local businesses. And so it really is up to the people and the generosity of the travel community and the global community to help chip in. These people have really been hit hard beyond the pandemic. And we really, both of us feel personally connected, but we really want you to hear it from locals on this talk today. And I won't ramble on, but you'll realize that these are all family-owned, locally owned businesses that we want to support. And I'm going to throw up a couple charities in the chat box, so you can go on individually if you feel connected with any of their stories, or you want to learn more. You can donate directly to those individual businesses as well. And the bigger bucket is going towards the Lebanese Red Cross, and we've gathered about $800 already, and that will go directly to the Lebanese Red Cross, which is amazing. So thanks so much for the generosity already. We really want to spread awareness and keep Lebanon top of mind to people. And given the pandemic, there will be future travel, and we know that this country needs our tourism dollars more than ever. So I'm gonna, without further ado, pass it over to Alexandra Talty, who's a reporter. So she's the best moderator, really, to take over the reins, and I'll pop back in later on when we ask questions from the audience. So feel free to jump in on the chat wherever you are. I'm going to look at those and have those answered at the end. But we're going to go around and introduce our speakers now. So I'll let Alexandra take it away.
Thank you, Jess. And thank you to everyone for tuning in today. We're so happy to have you. And as Jess mentioned, if you go to the Travel Massive page, we're raising money there for the Lebanese Red Cross. And we'll also be sharing local businesses that you can donate to. So every bit helps. And we love seeing like $5, $10 donations. So please head there. I'm reminded today of nearly a year ago when we met at Jamel's Colonel Brewery on the reef in Beirut for a Travel Massive Lebanon meetup. It was October 16th. And, there was a sunset, there were craft cocktails by Colonel, and of course, the classic Lebanese hospitality. And now, nearly a year later, so much has changed. On October 17th, peaceful protests led to the Lebanese Revolution. COVID-19 has shut the world's borders, and we're just starting to reopen internationally. And as everyone has seen, there is the traumatic Beirut blast in August. And we just feel like it is a good time to keep talking about Lebanon, share those kind of Lebanese hospitality moments that still exist in the country and that are still so important and beautiful, and also raise money, continue to raise money for relief efforts. So I'm just going to quickly introduce our panelists today, and then we'll let them introduce themselves and talk a bit about their businesses. We have different kinds of stakeholders, and then we'll open it up to a discussion about how you can visit Lebanon, what the beauty of visiting the country, and then also how you can help if you're in LA or New York or the UK or Jordan. I know we have a lot of people tuning in from all over the world. So we just want to kind of welcome everyone to this international Lebanese family. So first we have Bethany Khedi, a Lebanese-American chef, TV presenter, and best-selling author of The Jeweled Kitchen and founder of Taste Lebanon.
Hello.
Hi, Bethany. We also have Christine Kodsi, the managing partner of the Souk El Tayeb Farmers Market and co-founder of Taouleh Restaurants and Beit Boutique Hotel Properties around Lebanon. Next, we have Jamel Haddad, the owner of Colonel Brewery and Distillery in Betroun. Christelle Riachi, the travel blogger behind Notes of a Traveler and co-owner of Sept Winery with her husband, Mahad. Next, and lastly, we have Roni Shatta, the founder of Walk Beirut, the city's most popular walking tour, as well as the podcast Beirut Banyan, which shares stories of modern Lebanon. So, hi. Roni, since I introduced you last, do you want to share a bit about yourself and Walk Beirut, and then we'll kind of go through everyone else?
Sure. So I started doing a storytelling tour of Beirut days before the July 2006 war.
Oh, wow.
And then it was put on hiatus for a number of years. I think it was 2010, the New York Times listed Beirut as the #1 tourism destination. So within 4 years, you had a sudden burst of tourism and sort of this energy in Beirut. So I think we're going through something similar at the moment. But regarding the tour, it's a storytelling tour that pays tribute to Beirut's storytellers. It also pays tribute to Beirut's layered history. And I think it's a very difficult city to explain. I think you need to walk around and have someone maybe bring it to life. It's a complicated past. It's a very complicated recent past. So I carefully designed a 4-hour story. And I only touch on about 150 years of history to make it accessible. And the tour ends with what I think is Beirut's best storyteller. It's Samir Asir. And I've been doing it on and off for the last 14 years. At the moment, it's on hiatus. Half of the itinerary is, I think, difficult to access at the moment. And maybe it's just not the right time because of COVID and many things that have happened recently in Beirut. Regardless, I do the podcast, which has been on for the last 2 years. It's in a way, it's a companion to the tour. I sort of share stories. Some of them I create on my own. I also have long form interviews with, I think, voices that should be heard across the world that celebrate Beirut's history and also maybe stand firm with the spirit of Lebanon. And I think that's important. I think the city will bounce back. The country will bounce back. It's a matter of time. So it's a hopeful note to start with.
That's great. And Bethany, you're also a storyteller. If you want to share a little bit about yourself.
So I do a number of things, obviously cookbooks. I write cookbooks, a lot about storytelling as well, talking a lot about my food heritage from a standpoint of Lebanese food, but Levantine food as well. I'm very much involved in the food scene and the food heritage in Lebanon. So kind of I set up Taste Lebanon in around 2009, 2010. And it was really very much because I was living abroad, I was living in the UK at the time. And it would frustrate me that people didn't want to come and visit Lebanon. And I would always think, okay, what is the best way to get people excited about coming to Lebanon? And it was always very clear people were excited about the food and they loved the food. They just didn't really understand what Lebanon was about, or if it was a safe destination, or if it was a suitable destination that they might actually enjoy. And so, yeah, I used food as a sort of, I dangled the carrot, and it just kind of started from there. So it was all about, taking people to various different places. It's about experiencing the food culture through the people, and through their stories and through their lifestyle, and through that. So a lot of food history is involved in that. Obviously, that's now also on a hiatus. So like Roni, we have a tour in Beirut called Beirut Bites, which is one of our popular ones as well. And yes, it's been very difficult, obviously, since the revolution, and then it's been just ongoing, one thing after the other. And I think right now we have other things that are more require more of our attention. So, but that's how Taste Lebanon, and that's how my sort of involvement is evolved over the years. Yeah.
I love that idea of you using like hummus to try to get more people in love with Lebanon. I feel like I've done that with many of my friends who visited, and family too.
Yeah.
Christine, you also are very involved in the food community. Talk a little bit about Souk El Tayeb and Taule and Beit.
Sure. Thank you. First, I'd love to thank you, because honestly, I was just thinking the past month and a half, it's the first time we're just talking about tourism. And by only doing this, it's amazing, because in itself, it gives hope. So coming back to what we do, we started the farmers market 15 years ago, and the idea behind it, it's quite close to what Bethany was describing. Our idea was how to bring in the best of what this country has to offer, not only through food, but only through the people behind them. So first, the producers, so the one that grows stuff, but also the women, the housewives, the cooks. So tasting the food and getting from here to know Lebanon. With time, we also developed into other things, which are taule, our restaurants, where women cook their specialty dishes from their villages, and also our bed and breakfasts called Beit. We have 5 around the country. And it's also a way to discover the best of what Lebanon has to offer in terms of hospitality, I would say. So food, hospitality, nature, everything around those, and people.
Yes, and actually one of your Beit properties, Beit Duma, I know it's like a fan favorite. People love that one so much. It's next to Sept Winery, which, Crystal, if you want to jump in and talk a bit about Notes of a Traveler and Sept.
Yes, sure. Hi. Basically, I'm a writer and I'm a travel blogger. I launched my travel blog 4 or 5 years ago, and I write mainly about rural tourism in Lebanon with a focus on guest houses. And yes, there has been collaboration with Christine previously, experiencing the beautiful guest houses and talking about them and writing about them. So mainly through guest houses have been my focal point, because experiencing guest houses allows me to also immerse myself in the culture of the region itself, or the area that I'm experiencing, and getting in touch with people and experiencing the Lebanese hospitality and the friendliness of the people, and also getting in touch with these culinary or lifestyle traditions and customs. I've been also blocked lately because of everything's happening in the country. So the creative flow is completely blocked. I admit that I've been neglecting a little bit the blog. So again, thank you for giving us a chance to talk about Lebanon and reminding us of the passion we have of promoting tourism in Lebanon. And it's actually through my blog that I met Maher, which is my husband today, because I was sleeping in a nearby guest house, and I was supposed to write about Maher's project in the article. So, this is how I met him. And together, I can say that together we started the project of Set. Obviously, he started before me, but the real launch happened on the ground we did it together. And so Set is kind of our little baby. It's a biodynamic vineyard in the northern mountains of Lebanon, only 15 minutes away from Beit Douma. And it's the first biodynamic vineyard in Lebanon, and so we work according to the lunar calendar and using traditional techniques and natural fermentation. So we produce natural wine. And yeah, it's been a beautiful journey so far, regardless of everything's happening in Lebanon. We're trying to, carry on and keep the faith and the passion and
Yeah, and I think that's
do
something
what we love doing.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that is so important, or that's something that's always struck me about Lebanon. And last but certainly not least, we have Jamel Haddad, who also is a brewer and also liquor distiller. Do you want to talk a bit about Colonel? I, for one, think it's the only place in the world you can windsurf and then drink a beer.
So, hello everybody. Actually, Alexandra, I will take the advantage to talk actually about Lebanon more and to describe how I see things after the revolution and through all what happened in Lebanon in the last year. So basically, we all know we had the revolution, the financial crisis, COVID, and the blast at the end, like a month ago. Actually, I want to talk, or I want to describe the positive advantage of what happened since a year. So first of all, and then I will talk about the future plans and how, because I would like to really talk about plans and projects, how we can really move forward and to really promote Lebanon in a better way. And since we are talking about tourism, I want to really explain what happened since the year. So everybody knows now how we lost, how the inflation started in Lebanon, and now we lost the currency. So our currency, it moved like 1,500 Lebanese pound used to be $1, and now we are talking about around $1 for each 8,000 Lebanese pounds. So of course, I want to say something about the Lebanese. Definitely, that's something. It's really hectic, it's hard, and all this. But I want to focus on the positive side of this. That this is the best opportunity for every single person in the world that would like to travel for tourism in a cheaper way. Is now to travel to Lebanon, because now you can come to Lebanon and you can eat, drink, and do the best things, the best experiences that I can talk about in a bit in a cheaper way. I remember like people before 2 years ago or more, they used to complain about the prices in Lebanon, that it's like Europe or it's very expensive compared to our country. And now I tell you that everything like went at least 60-70% less compared to the US dollars. So this is an opportunity now that we have to work on it, and we have to benefit from it to really promote tourism in Lebanon. Because, and this is project I wanted to work on last year after the revolution and after the currency started to lose her like power. I wanted to really work on a touristic project that promote Lebanon and to let people come. What happened that COVID came, and of course, no one traveled. But I think this is another opportunity that now we have time to think about what happened in the last year in Lebanon and to focus how we can really promote Lebanon in terms of marketing. Second, to really to put a map that it lead us how to really promote the Lebanese businesses. And what I'm saying is that what if we create a platform to let people come, like tourists, to come to Lebanon later on by next year, and they know what to do, where to go, and these people will spend their money directly in for small businesses, mid in the mountains, by the beach, directly to people, and not like spending money through like whatever, like helping in general, like big organizations that we don't know where the money is going for. So I would say one of the best, like you can like really match two things very important. One, helping Lebanese to survive, and at the same time promoting tourism by putting directly tourist people ahead with Lebanese, I don't know, touristic destinations. So then when they come to Lebanon, they can directly spend their money. So let's say they come, they sleep at Bet Douma. So Bet Douma and the people working at Bet Douma, they're going to benefit from these people. Let's say they go to the winery, Sat Winery, or other projects. Then when we create a map for tourism and how much they can spend, so they can plan their travel destination or travel like week or weeks, whatever, then now they're gonna be excited to come because they will know how much they can spend, and it's cheaper right now in Lebanon. This is from one side that I think we can work on it from now till next year. Once COVID is done, then we can really like move forward and make Lebanon a better destination for tourism, because we all know that Lebanon has been a destination for tourism, but I think we still have a big room. It's not enough. We can do a lot more, and this is the best way to really, I think, to move on to this direction. On the other hand, I want to say one more thing, and of course we can really talk hours more, but I'm trying to really make it fast. So after the blast, many people wanted to help Lebanon and the Lebanese, and how. I think there are like two different directions that they are like in Beirut especially. There are people, they were like really affected by the blast, directly and indirect people. The direct people are the ones between, like they have their home like is really went down or whatever, or the businesses, and indirectly they were affected by the economy that came after the blast. So I think there are two ways to help. Either we help directly home through, let's say, some organization that we really trust and they can really give money to people or others. And I think there is another way of helping small and medium businesses in Lebanon and in Beirut specifically, is by creating like a form for these people to see what is the size of their businesses, how many employees do they have. So each one, so we will put like criteria. If they reopen, then we can help. And each one depends on the size of his business. We can help him more. And as much as he employ more, as much as we help him more. In this case, we can let them grow and let them open again. So we encourage them to open again and to let the economy really work again and cycle it as it should be.
I love that. And I know like Anthony has his company is the Bike Tours of Lebanon Routes, which is run out of Colonel. And I know he's been starting to do some of that with like connecting different parts in northern Lebanon with bike tours. Obviously what you're talking about is much bigger, but I feel like there's such a strength behind that. And that's something that people, you know, there are so many unique kind of small tourism businesses. And as you were saying, Jamil, like I think internationally, people might not understand how much, you know, if a tourist comes to Lebanon and brings dollars, like how much that actually the impact it has on the local economy. Christine, I know your restaurant, your flagship Taule, was hit very hard by the Beirut blast, but since then you guys have partnered with Jose Andres for the kitchen, and then also you're opening a new restaurant next week. Do you want to talk a little bit about that resiliency?
Okay. I want to come back to Jamil's idea because I noted two things and he talked about them. But
okay, let's go from there. Let's go.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to tell the story because it's important. Really, the blast was on August 4.
On August 5, we met, me, my partner, and our two top employees, and we said, okay, we're closing tomorrow. I mean, it's over. It's true we didn't get complete destruction, but I mean, what to do in such a situation? So we were closing down. The day after, we received a call from someone from World Central Kitchen who works with Jose Andres saying, we're coming to Lebanon tomorrow. Would you be able to do 1,000 meals, 700 meals a day for like a few weeks? And we looked at each other and we said, okay, come tomorrow, we'll pick you from the airport. So from dying to rebirth, there was a few, really 24 hours. And this has allowed us, honestly, we brought back all the team, come start working, the women and everything. And then it allowed us to also create our community kitchen that will be permanent in the new place where we're moving. It's not a new restaurant, we're just moving everything because the farmers market will be there as well. And the farmers market has been off for almost a year. It was in Beirut souks. It has been highly, highly affected. So hundreds of people with zero income for a year is a lot. I'd say on and off, of course, but so this is how it happened, and it created the first stream of hope for us. But then, so if I want to go back to what Jamil said, he said two things make Lebanon a better destination. And honestly, today, and the other things was about creating jobs, and I totally agree with him. And today we were doing an employee gathering, and we told them two things. Okay, guys, we're moving. We're lucky enough to have got some funds to do what we're doing. And but our challenge is how to be better and not just to move and do same as we were before. So for me, Lebanon, is true, it was bling, bling and a lot of things, but we need to improve our quality. No, seriously. So how to be better in what we're offering, apart from the monetary value of the dollar, which is definitely a super advantage, and how to create jobs. So for us is how to maintain jobs and to create new ones. And we will be able to create a few new jobs if we get a few, we're working on a few projects to create new jobs for women, for low-skilled people and very vulnerable people in many areas of Lebanon, because not only Beirut is hit, even people working everywhere in the regions are quite suffering already from the economic downturn. So I don't know, let's see how, we all have, I'm sure, ideas about how to make this, our country, attractive through this.
Bethany, with Taste Lebanon, I know, it's hard to necessarily book a full tour for someone with the kind of instability that has happened there. You've also been working on some projects in London for relief efforts. How are you thinking about this idea of kind of connecting tourism more, providing more jobs, but then also focusing on kind of the inherent traditional cuisines and culture of Lebanon rather than the flash that maybe in recent years?
Okay, so I'm going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to be honest. So for me, I definitely have no query that Lebanon is going to come out of this. This is just it. We will. Is tourism for me right now an immediate reality? Not necessarily for me. This is my opinion. And if you ask me pre-COVID, I was completely trying, even as a person that's very active in the revolution, I was of the opinion that this doesn't matter. This is the time. Keep coming to Lebanon. This is the way forward. I think we need to be supporting Lebanon. We need to be supporting the hospitality industry in Lebanon. We need to be making these changes, like both Jamil and Christine said, so that we're doing better. We need to be developing that infrastructure. We need to be doing a lot of those things so that when the time is right, we're able to actually start welcoming the tourism in the floods. But I don't think we're really ready. And I think we really need to be focusing on cleaning house. And I think we really need to be doing all the work that we need to do from the ground up, which is going to need a lot of support from people outside. I'm not saying don't come to Lebanon. Absolutely come to Lebanon. We have a twofold issue. Obviously there's areas in Beirut that aren't necessarily, for us in particular with the tours as well, that we can't follow the same routes, etc. But that doesn't mean you can't come to Lebanon. That doesn't mean that it's a completely different, but people have, they're taking precautions because of COVID. You have to be realistic that is actually a very big thing that you have to overcome. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a reality. And, there's a number of other things that we have to deal with. I don't want to talk about politics, but it is still an issue. So I think helping the hospitality industry, helping the artisanal industry, making sure that people on the ground are being funded. Again, like Jamil said, making sure that you're not funding the big conglomerates where that money is actually then, bottlenecked by the time it actually it doesn't reach the people that it needs to reach in time. And there's a lot of fundraise initiatives for micro entrepreneurs who are on the ground, who've got great ideas, and I think that's who we should be supporting. I think this is the way forward right now, building a really solid base to kind of continue building on it.
I want to interrupt for something to add something to Bethany. So I think Alexandra, there is something very important. How I thought a year ago after the revolution and after what happened with the economic crisis. I think I would like, because also maybe because I'm coming from two different sectors, because I'm in the industrial sector and I'm into in the restaurant sector, which is like more into tourism. So if I want to really sit and look in Lebanon, what I can do and what is like, what action I can do like immediately and what is for the long term. So basically, if I want to think about Lebanon and what to do in Lebanon on the long term, then, okay, for sure, we need to have more industries in Lebanon and to go like to work and to build really more industrial sector and in the industrial sector and the agriculture sector. And definitely this is something we didn't do in the last 15 years or the last 10 years, even though we knew that we're going into the crisis, but people were more interested into the interest rate and it was really high. And, when time was running and they didn't really go into that. But when I talked about tourism and into the tourist sector, because tourism in Lebanon doesn't need a lot of money to make it happen or to really like to invest in. We have a beautiful country. We have an amazing country that it starts by the sea, by the east coast of the Mediterranean toward the highest mountains in Lebanon, where you really can combine like windsurfing, sailing, surfing. You can combine like swimming, and you can go ski and do all the hiking activities in the mountains. Yes, this is reality. This is the reality of Lebanon. And I think that the only way to survive and to make the country survive the crisis till we can change in the country what is so far, we don't know till when. So till we can change, we have to survive. And to survive, we have to promote tourism right now because it's the only way where people, they will benefit directly from it. But on the midterm and long term, after we can make money from the tourism sector, because the tourism sector will let people from the mid class and poor people benefit directly from it, and then we can work through a plan 5, 10, 15, 20 years to build an industrial sector that can really create more jobs and create stability, because the only way to keep the Lebanese in the country is to let them switch to the agriculture and the industrial sectors, because these two sectors are the sectors that they will keep people in their ground, in their like on the ground, on their country, because you don't plant today and you get it tomorrow. It's something you have to carry it. You have to really live with it. And same for the production and the industrial sector. So I think the only way, what you are doing, guys, and everybody is doing from the people here, it's promoting the tourism in Lebanon. It's the only way not to build a better country. It's to survive and to maintain the crisis and to make maybe the revolution work is to create a better Lebanon through tourism so we can build a better Lebanon in different sectors.
Roni, I see you nodding along, and I feel like I know you well, so I feel like you have a lot of ideas on this.
I'll admit I'm not business savvy. I mean, my career is a walking tour and a podcast. So I come from a very, I'm not smart with money, but I'll try to bridge maybe what Bethany was saying and Jamil, and I'll just maybe try to pitch a story. I think Beirut is the best story ever told. And I've been fortunate. I've traveled many places. I think a lot of them I didn't need to go to, just go to Lebanon. And it's not just the cliche stuff. It's not just you can skip Malta and see Phoenician history in Lebanon. Or for that matter, you could skip Rome perhaps and go to Baalbek. Forget Athens, right? You could maybe, if you want to stretch it further, the Ottoman Empire is available. The French mandate, you can access it. Forget Paris, you can come to Beirut. And I'll take it maybe one step further. And this is maybe the most sort of outrageous claim. Forget the Middle East. Forget the whole Middle East. Just come to Lebanon. I think it's a nation of layered identity. I think it's a nation of extreme. And I think that's the charm. And that's what I try to bring to life on the tour and in the podcast. And I'll give you an example. You can have authentic Lebanese cuisine and next door have the best cocktail of your life. You can go visit an authentic souk in Tripoli, and then within a few meters, perhaps, down the road, you can enjoy a nightlife in Mina. You can go to Betroun and enjoy a better nightlife as well. And all the other things matter, and they're a better experience altogether. I like your place. But I think that's an important story that should be told over and over. And I agree that maybe right now, it's not the right time. Although I will say there's a caveat, Lebanon's economy depends on tourism. And it's a vital sector. Without tourism, you won't have a rebirth. So there is something that is necessary. It may not happen this year. It may take years. But that's the cycle Lebanon continues to experience. And on the tour, I talk about how a city was destroyed by an earthquake, not once, but multiple times. And right now, half of the city was destroyed by a man-made earthquake, the ammonium nitrate blasts. We will recover, but the story matters. And I think that's I'll say it once more because I think it resonates with me at least. It is the best story ever told. And you can go to Beirut and experience another thing, which is important. You can experience tragedy. And you can experience what it's like for a community, a passionate country to emerge from tragedy over and over. I don't know if you want to call this resilience per se. I don't even know what the word is anymore. But there is a nation that has suffered. There's a nation that has suffered immensely, and you can see it rebuilding over and over and over. I'll just say one last thing. The tour, I ended with a quote by Samir Asir. So I came a bit prepared. I have a ticket from the tour. I'm not able to give the tour right now. But it's a quote that says, عودوا إلى الشارع أيها الرفاق تعودوا إلى الوضوح. I'll explain it in English. Go back to the streets, dear friends, dear comrades, and reclaim your past, reclaim your history, and you'll see clearly. So I think that is the cycle. It's prosperity and despair. It's stability and instability. One day we'll break it, but in the meantime, enjoy the story because it's a great story.
I like that. And also, just for everyone listening abroad and internationally, to piggyback on what Roni was saying about you can have Paris and Beirut and Rome and Baalbek, and there really are so many things available in Lebanon. And for Americans, I know a lot of Americans are talking about how we can't go anywhere. We still can go to Lebanon. So there you go. In COVID times, it could be our new Europe.
Yeah, headed there tomorrow, so I will be there.
Crystal, I just wanted to hand it to you. I know Sept is you founded it with your husband, but you guys have a story kind of resistance with the winery as well. And I know that's something like one of the things that a lot of travelers really love is spending time in the mountains, at guest houses, and in wineries. I think Lebanon is something, it's like the most wineries per capita in the world, which is great for tourism.
True. I can easily say that the story of SAT resembles a lot the story of Lebanese resilience, because it is a project that struggled a lot and fought a lot to see the light because of many obstacles. Financial is one of them. So it was a long journey for SAT to happen, to be there. And yes, we're kind of tired of the word resilience, but I cannot not mention it because it's really one of the attributes that, one of the values that almost all Lebanese entrepreneurs are really they enjoy, they stand out with, because no matter what happens, we carry on, we keep going, and this is what we're doing at SAT. Honestly, our business relied a lot on tourists. When we opened the winery, 80% our footprint was foreigners. They discovered the winery way before the Lebanese. I cannot not say that with the COVID pandemic and with all the challenges that we faced this year, there wasn't some upsides to it or advantages. And because in every crisis there's an opportunity, and this year was full of challenges, but it also opened many doors to SAD. For example, it forced Lebanese to really discover their own country because of the the lack of possibility to travel because of the COVID-19. So we started receiving a lot of Lebanese. After 2 years of being open, Lebanese were discovering our winery and they were enjoying it. And also with the confinement, it gave us the space and the time and the luxury to create and to innovate, always through tradition. For example, one of the things that we achieved, or that Maher achieved during the confinement, is that he had time to think and to experiment and to come up with a new product that was the first of its kind in Lebanon, which is the skin contact Abaide, which we call also orange wine, which was the first wine to be released in Lebanon and had a huge success. So I cannot not be grateful for the challenges this year imposed on us, because yes, it opened new windows and it made us grateful for everything that we cannot access right now. But as all of the attendees, like as everyone said now, Lebanon really relies on tourism. Tourism is a vital sector for our rebirth, for our sustainability, for going on, and it really impacted a lot of businesses right now, especially in the hospitality business, the hospitality sector. And I really wish people keep that in mind. Foreigners who have the purchase power, who have the dollar, who can come and help and support Lebanese businesses in their own way, whether from abroad or traveling to Lebanon when the opportunity allows, when this COVID pandemic will allow. I think this is where they should invest their money, and this is what's called sustainable also travel. Like really put your money in countries that need you right now, but that also give back a lot, because Lebanon can be the perfect vacation destination. We have everything to dazzle every tourist from around the world. So please keep us in mind, keep talking about Lebanon, and whenever you want to take a vacation or you want to spend your money, I hope that you can put Lebanon on top of your bucket list.
And oh, sorry, Jess, were you?
Well, I was just piggybacking on what you were saying. Is Crystal, we had a question from the group. If you're to travel solo, what do you recommend, especially a female solo traveler? How would you recommend getting around? And also, just to the point is, yes, Beirut has been definitely damaged, but there's so much outside of Beirut to see, from the wineries to the ruins. They're not all just centered around in the city. So any recommendations for solo travelers, and maybe some amazing day tours? Beit has so many properties in all different areas. So recommendations, feel free to jump in.
Well, what I can say is that it's really safe to travel in Lebanon as a solo woman, and I've heard it from many female tourists who come to Lebanon, and they told me they've never felt safer in a foreign country, and I can, like, this is one of the beautiful things in Lebanon, because yeah, this is there's definitely, it's safe, and people and women can feel safe while traveling around. The second thing is the proximity. Lebanon is a small country, and it's really easy. I'm not going to talk about the infrastructure now, but it's easy to jump to the countryside. Take a taxi and go explore a village every weekend. Every weekend you can discover a new place. Every weekend you can go to a village, whether to Shuf, to the Shuf area, to Betroun, to the south, to it's really easy to access. It's really easy to plan, because the information is all there. It's online, and there's also my blog if they want to read it. That can give tips on this.
Bethany, do you have any recommendations from your Taste Lebanon tours? I know you did some things in the south as well, because I feel like we have a lot of stuff in the north on our group. So
yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot. The thing is if you do traveling around Lebanon, I've always said traveling around it and outside of Beirut, because you can do, Beirut in a couple of days, and then actually the whole experience, to really truly get a real taste for Lebanon, is when you get out. And you can go down south. I mean, you can go to Saida, you can go to Sur. Obviously, there's just so many. And the thing is, for example, Baalbek is always on foreign, it's always on a foreign advisory. It's always a no travel. And it's the one place I always tell people to travel to. If you come to Lebanon, do not leave unless you go to Baalbek. I'm like, you could take my word for it, go to Baalbek. So, yeah, I mean, if people are able to come and explore Lebanon, there is so much to offer. I mean, obviously, there's also Jamil's place, which is stunning. Even if you just go, you can, Batoon, there's so many little nooks and crannies. And you can, exactly like Christelle says, you can travel every weekend you explore. I mean, I'm constantly finding new places and new experiences. You're always, you don't have to leave the country to feel like you went on a holiday. That's how I've always felt. So yeah, I can guarantee that anybody, the one thing that people say when they come to Lebanon is they're always shocked, they're always surprised, but they feel like they've always made family and friends. And I think when you come to Lebanon, no matter what their circumstance is, you always feel like you come for a visit, but you leaving a second home. That is just True. Kind of a given. So, I mean, I know from you guys probably have a lot to say about that, having come to visit, and how much it stays with you. It really does stay with you. So that in itself is just, that should sell the country. It's got the magic.
I couldn't agree more.
I second that. Yeah, for me, it's always in the rural areas where tourists can experience the real diversity, culture, and traditions of Lebanon. They can see mesmerizing landscape. Lebanon is green. We have beautiful mountains, and every village is characterized by something, by new tradition, and this is what makes the richness of Lebanon. And people can totally travel alone, but also it's so easy to connect with Lebanese. And for example, Alexandra, if you have a friend coming to Lebanon, I'm sure if you put him or her in touch with me or Jamil, they instantly have family in Lebanon, and you can be sure that we'll take care of them and we'll show them around and we'll show them our passion. And this is what mostly tourists are marked by. Like, they're shocked also, like they don't expect this friendliness and then this hospitality. But this is what we love doing. This is what we know how to do best. So you're never really alone in Lebanon. You're never really alone. You always have friends or family. And,
that's the best and the worst part about Lebanon. I can say that after living in a small town. No, it is the Lebanese hospitality. What?
CCTV.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah.
Lebanese Teta TV is what I feel like it is, but
Yeah, I would agree. And everyone immediately gives you their WhatsApp number, and you're almost at their home with their family. They're taking you all over the place, or your after party after party. But anyway, but talking about currently, obviously with COVID, and I think almost Lebanon is ideal because I've never really experienced crowds other than Marichel at night when people fill out of the bars. But I mean, honestly, I've never been overcrowded or felt like people were on top of me. So going forward with like safety and people's kind of wanting to be more spread out and rural, I think Lebanon is teed up for the perfect. Like the ruins in the south, I've been the only person there, and Baalbek never really been that crowded. So
Yeah,
you know,
private tour.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's should be on everyone's list for various other reasons, but even just with the pandemic, as things ease off, and I think it's one of those countries you can safely travel around because of the fact that there's things beyond the major city that everyone knows so well.
Sorry.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll chime in from my own experience. I obviously the positives are worth celebrating, but in my humble opinion, the disappointments are equally worth celebrating. And I'll say this carefully. Many people I've met, either visitors from the region or tourists from further, always complain. It's like, how can you learn Arabic in Lebanon, for example? And I say, yeah, that's a good thing, because we're dancing around 4 languages at once. We have English, French, Arabic, and Armenian, and they're sandwiched. They're side by side, so it's a plus. Why do you have ABC Ashrafiyya when you can have the souks of Tripoli? Truth is, we have both, and we do both quite well, and I think that's a celebration. It's not a bad thing. Maybe when people complain about the transport, I agree with them. Somebody mentioned that earlier, that transportation is a devastating experience, whatever, but you get to cram yourself in with Lebanese on your way there. So I think it's a net positive. And I think that's the charm. People should see this up front. They get to experience also something else, which is a variety of different communities that chose to stay married rather than divorce. And so you see what it's like to stick it through. And there's something very healthy. It's a very tolerant place. Extreme identities can live side by side. Extreme ideologies can live side by side. It's a true cosmopolitan city. So it's worth a visit.
definitely.
Now,
I remember like one of the questions I mentioned, like what's really special about Lebanon is that you can say hi, kifak sava. So the 3 languages in one sentence. It's very cliche, but where else do you have like in one sentence 3 languages? So yeah, I totally agree. Like if you want to come to Lebanon, just hook to a Lebanese person and that's it. And people remember mostly their experience with people. When you ask like somebody who's been here, what's the most striking thing you liked about the country? He said the people, their energy, of course, there are both good sides and bad sides, but usually you start by remembering people and the good energy you had first, and then you remember, oh yes, and Jaita and Baalbek. So, and that's why people always come back. Many people come back. So it's never a one-time destination. So I highly encourage everyone to come, definitely.
I just wanted to say, if you are looking for a tour idea, doing all of the baits, a part of like Christine Souk El Tayeb would be phenomenal. I would love that. That would be like, that. I'm doing that for my return, I think.
Anytime.
Right. And with that, because we have a few minutes left before the end of the hour, and I wanted to ask like the best way to find inspiration. A couple people asked about how to stay inspired to obviously travel for future travel, where they can find you. I know Instagram is very popular in Lebanon. A lot of businesses have Facebook pages. What do you recommend for people who are planning future travel, where to find all the inspiration and ways to book things, whether it's direct to your website or anything like that? What do you recommend? We can go through everyone if you want individually to answer. Come up.
I would say that to ask them to book their tickets and arrive to Beirut airport, and from there everything will be easy.
Are you sure?
Jamil will pick you up.
To Batroun directly, to be specific. To Batroun directly, and from there everything will be easy.
Perfect.
I can suggest, for example, Lot Libanais, if they would like to book guest houses, which is a repertoire of family guest houses. Yeah.
I'll indulge in.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Personally, I don't like the big travel agencies like Wild Discovery or Nakhal, or where they give you these very cliche or classic travel itineraries, like very mass oriented or commercial. Like I would invite them to dig further and look for example, boutique wineries or nice local breweries, or like this cozy guest house in the middle of or in the rural area, or like, you know, this sustainable travel that the world is more like going to these days, this authentic travel experience. And I'm sure in travel, through travel blogs or reviews or whatever's available online, like they can find like can go the extra mile a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Roni,
I'll indulge in shameless self-promotion. So since the tour is on hold, I would recommend following the podcast. I put the handle, it's the Beirut Banyan. And it's weekly episodes, sometimes twice a week, touching on everything that's happening. So if people want to get a feel for the economic crisis, the political chaos, or the layered history and the charm, or all of the above, it's all there. I think it's 212 episodes released so far. So it's a variety of stories and long-form conversations, if people want to have just a general idea of what's been happening.
Yeah. And Alexandra's been a guest too, so we know it's very informative from all sorts of levels.
That's true. You know, I'll say she's been a guest on the podcast, and I think twice on the tour as well. So there's
I just need to add one more thing, that really if we want to really describe Lebanon or talk about Lebanon, of course we can talk a lot, but Lebanon is really is made for everybody. I think all categories can really fit or can be happy in Lebanon. Like either if you are like, because you know we know, like even if you are like someone on his backpack and wants to travel by himself or herself, or you have a lots of money and you really want to live the poshy lifestyle, and in between, of course. So I think Lebanon is too small. It's a small country, but very diverse, as many people said before. But at the same time, it's really a destination and can be destination for anyone, for sporty people, for luxurious people, and in between. And this is how I think we have to promote Lebanon through all different categories, because they can be all happy here in Lebanon.
Agree. It definitely ticks a lot of boxes for people on many different levels, I think, of interest. So, and Alexandra being a surfer chick and up in Batroun, and I love wine, so I'm going to visit you, Crystal, very soon. And I've stayed at several Bates properties. And Bethany, you have to do your tour. Been to the Brewing Canal, and I feel connected to all of you in many ways. And I think a lot of people who have been commenting and asking questions as well have either been or heard wonderful things. So we're glad that we've had this talk. So I really appreciate your time and sharing the inspiration that we need to get back over there. So I'm going to jot in again, everyone who's tuned in. I put in the local charities again, and we also have the donations still. If you're able, we know it's hard times across the board globally, but if you are able to, the donations are still open for the Lebanese Red Cross. So I think we're over 800 already. So any bit is welcomed. And of course, these individual owned businesses, family run businesses, are helping people across the country. So if anyone has any parting words to the audience or anything, just let us know any project we should share.
I think also, like, maybe I forgot, like Leptivity.com can be a place where you can really see too many things, what's happening in the country as events, and like the updates of what's around.
Yeah, definitely. So any
Notes
other
of a traveler, notes of a traveler for guest houses and hidden gems.
All right.
Save the money on your next 5 destinations and just go to Beirut.
I love it.
The tourism board is using that as their future tagline now.
Yeah, and then I think Lebanon Traveler, I think Crystal, you've written for them before, contributed. Living
Yes.
Lebanon is definitely one of my favorites, where they do go and do more boutique
Yes,
individual
amazing.
properties. Yeah.
Yes, Lebanon Traveler is a great account too.
Yeah. So, and anything else, I'll put the information in there, and people might reach out to you directly or through your business pages. But I think collectively with this group, your whole itinerary for at least a month is totally busy with these guys. So don't hesitate to reach out to them. They love showing people around. The hospitality is unmatched. So I will confirm that. I'm sure Alexandra can too.
Great.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This will be
Thank you,
saved as well.
everyone.
Yeah, you can rewatch this later too. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Merci,
Thank you
Katia.
so much.
Bye.
Shukran.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
See
you.
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.
That